Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga.
Yeah. Do you know what your body does to deal with sugars? What your body creates to move it? Insulin, yeah. So do you know what insulin does if you have large amounts of insulin going in? If you've got lots of sugar going in, your body's making lots of insulin, it can encourage weight gain. So if that's something you're considering, moving away from going for really sugary, refined sugars. So what do you mean by refined sugars? What sort of things are refined sugars?
Sweets, chocolate, that sort of, not natural.
Yeah, so or heavily processed things as well, so things like your white bread, so stuff like that. So things like that, refined sugars, basically, your body finds it very easy to turn those into glucose. When your body recognises your blood glucose levels go up, it produces insulin, which then makes your blood glucose levels come down again. So if you're having lots of sugary stuff, you're making your body use lots of insulin, and that can encourage weight gain. But what a lot of you'll find is, if you're having lots of sugary snacks regularly, as your blood sugars go up and down, you get all these cravings, and it can affect your mood quite a lot as well. And a lot of people, if they don't have a regular meal pattern, then your blood sugar's often going, on the lower side, and then you get these cravings coming in. And generally, when you crave food, what's food you crave, generally? Shit, isn't it? Yeah, it's the refined stuff. You never think, oh, I really fancy a salad. Yeah, and that's because your body knows that those foods aren't going to give it that sort of sugar hit that it wants. So it'll actually encourage you to go for the more refined sugars. And then when you go out and about, what's next to all the tills, all the petrol stations when you pay them? It's the high sugar stuff generally, isn't it? And it's because they know that your body craves that, especially at certain times of day on your way home. It's been a good couple of hours since you've eaten. So again, that's when you're more likely to crave those sugary things. So apart from a weight gain side of things, any other ideas what sugar's not great for? Yeah, it's a simple one. So a lot of people kind of know sugar's going to come from things like, sweets, biscuits, chocolates. What other sources of sugars are we getting?
Alcohol.
Alcohol, definitely. Yeah, it is a source. It is a source of it. What other?
What about milk? Because a lot of people have milk, and that's quite...
Yeah, milk, it's got some sugar in, not a huge amount. Yeah. Milk's not particularly high in carbs. I think milk gets quite a lot of bad press. If you have a pint of milk, there's a reasonable amount of carbs in there. So carbs are turned into sugars eventually. So it's looking to try and go more down the route with your less refined sugars. So they cause less of a spike in your blood glucose levels. So you're less likely to have these big ups and downs of your blood sugars. So if you go for more your whole grain stuff, so instead of going for your Rice Krispies, your Cocoa Pop cereals, going for more your whole grain ones, so more things like your shredded wheat, your all bran, your porridge, those sorts of things. They just kind of help, they're broken down a lot more slowly, so they help with appetite regulation and your mood and your performance across the day, really. So sugars makes quite a big difference. Diabetes or no diabetes, sugars makes a big difference to your mood and how you feel, but definitely has a huge role in cravings as well.
What about in Krav? Sometimes we do these long training sessions, so I'm training for 3 hours, 4 hours.
So when you're looking at that, I know we've got grading coming up this weekend for some of us. So when you're doing over 90 minutes worth of high intensity exercise, that's when your body depletes its stores, and that's when you need to start replacing it. So that's when you can use things like your energy drinks, your isotonic drinks, sports gels, things like that. And that can help kind of recharge that energy. But unless you're doing over 90 minutes worth, generally you don't need it because your body's got its own stores there. But I actually went out this week and bought myself a load of those gels because I know I've got an hour class before, then I've got about 3 hours of grading afterwards. So it's a long slog. So that's when those fast-acting sugars can actually, be really useful when you need that quick energy burst. But if you're substituting a regular meal pattern for things like that, then that's where you're going to find it more difficult with the appetite regulation side of things. Anyone got questions on sugar? The other one we didn't mention is fruit. So fruit, natural sugars. So a lot of people, especially if they're trying to do healthy eating, they'll eat buckets of fruit. How easy is it to eat a punnet of grapes? You've just had loads and loads of sugars as well.
Are there any fruits that are low in sugars?
There's lower ones, so your berries. So generally your berries, avocado is really, really low, and it's actually high in good quality fats as well. But berries are probably your better option when it comes to fruits. But it depends what you're using. If you want high sugar things and things like your banana work really well for a quick energy boost. But if you want your longer acting one, it's definitely more your berries in it. But sugars, they taste sweet. They've got natural sugars in them. They're not all bad, but it's just being aware of the portion size when it comes down to fruits. Things like grapes, dried fruits is a big one. So if you think a portion of fruit is what fits in the palm of your hand, so if you think grapes, it's probably what, 10-ish grape. But a raisin has the same amount of sugar as a grape. So a portion of raisins is 10 raisins. How would 10 raisins look in your hand? It's nothing, is it? Even them little boxes that you get in like the kids' pack lunches, probably about 2 or 3 portions of fruit in there. But because it's dried, we don't realise it. So if you're trying to be mindful of your sugar intake, then dried fruit is definitely one to look out for. But again, if you're wanting that high sugar thing for things like really intense training sessions, dried fruit works really well for that. So it's thinking what your goal is. But generally, we probably take on a little bit too much refined sugar because it's in an awful lot of the foods that we eat. Like if you're having a lot of pre-prepared meals, pre-prepared jars of sauces, have a little look for your ingredients list and just see sugar will probably feature in there. So if you can, you've got the time, make your own stuff. If not, then sometimes you have to use those sorts of things.
Cool, cheers for that. Any questions, guys?
Say after this session now, is it good to have a protein shake even though it's late in the evening?
It depends what your goal is. Yeah, it's thinking that the other thing, just with a note on protein. Yeah, protein forms part of building your muscle mass, and when you're doing kind of reasonable intensity stuff, then it's okay that you increase your protein intake a little bit. The thing is, your body can't take on any more than about 20-25 grams of protein in one go. So some of these protein shakes have got 60-70 grams of protein in. It's just not needed. The excess is just waste. So yeah, protein shakes can be all right if you're aiming to kind of build like a muscle mass up. But just be careful of the amount that some of these ones contain, because excess protein intake puts an extra strain on your kidneys. Yeah. That you just don't, because your kidneys have got to filter it all out basically. And it can, if you have too much, it can definitely cause a strain on it. Yeah. Generally, we get enough protein in our day-to-day, but yeah, you can use it at targeted times like that. But I'd say just watch the amount that you go for it in any one go.
What about weight loss? Because I wouldn't go for a protein shake. I would either go for some meat or some eggs, probably. Eggs to some energy.
What's the goal?
To lose weight.
To lose weight. So if you're trying to lose weight, then you're less likely to want to try and replace all your stores. But generally, you go for things like that when you're trying to do a bit more on the bulking side of things. Yeah, go for your natural sources of protein is brilliant. Things like your eggs, your meat. Yeah. Eggs are really good. It's a high bioavailability, which means your body can use a lot of the protein from eggs. And if you're veggie, then you need to do something called complementing protein. I'm trying not to get too technical, but basically, when protein's broken down, we've moved on to protein now. It's broken down into amino acids. So presuming you've heard of that. Okay, so there's 42 amino acids. Some of them your body can make, some of them your body can't make. Meat protein is broken down and you get all of the amino acids that you need. But non-meat protein, so things like your lentils and your beans, when it's broken down, you don't get all of them. So you have to have multiple sources of non-meat proteins to make sure you get all your full amino acid profile. But yeah, using your natural source, you don't need to use protein shakes at all. You can use natural sources. Protein shakes can just be handy if you're out and about and you've not got a fridge to keep your eggs or your meat in, then yeah, you can use protein shakes. But you're absolutely right, you can use your natural sources, not a problem at all, yeah.
So like your corn, because I'm vegetarian.
Yeah, corn a great source of protein, not a problem at all, yeah. So it's again, corn, it's not broken down into all the amino acids, so it's making sure you have other things like your beans and nuts, things like that, that makes sure you get the full complement of your amino acids with that. But yeah, you can have all your amino acids without ever having meat proteins, definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to stop it there, guys, because I need you to punch each other. Yeah. So, but cheers for that.
Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga, Krav Maga,